Bad news, the river's like almost completely frozen over. There's no way I can get in there this week, guys. It's just too cold out here. I'm not gonna do it this week. I apologize. Next week, okay? I'm gonna skip this week. Oh, 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 oh. Flock of birds. Beautiful. Canadian hot tub, baby.
My name is James ALOFS, and I left the big city of Toronto to move onto these 40 acres of wilderness here in Ontario, Canada. I'm a total fish out of water, learning as I go, sharing all my failures and victories. I am currently building a cabin of 12 by 16 feet with a loft to survive my first winter, before I build a main house to house my future wife, Irish wolfhounds, and 10 children. Welcome to Wild Homestead, Episode 7. Far and away my most difficult week on the homestead, both physically and mentally.
I don't know how to tell you guys this, but we're going to have to take down these walls. So I've discovered something. There's an error. There's an error in what I've been doing, and I need to restack all the logs. I'm going to explain this fully in the morning. I'm going to get a good night's rest. And I could hide it and say I'm perfect, I make no mistakes. But I'm going to show you guys exactly the mistake that I made. The only response I have to this is good. Good. I'm glad I made this mistake now, after I've only got 5 levels, and that I didn't discover it when I've got to level 10, because then there would be much more work. So guys, I'm going to go to sleep, get a good rest. We got a nice little snowstorm going on tonight, and I'll explain it to you in the morning. Yeehaw! How I stack my logs incorrectly was this. These are my short sections, and these are my long sections. I stacked my parallel walls in the same directions, right? Bottoms to tops here, and bottoms to tops there. And the problem with this is, when you have tops on tops and bottoms on bottoms, that's a very flat surface looking from the side for the next level to lay on top of. But when you have a top hitting a butt, or a butt hitting a top, looking from the side, there's going to be gaps here on these two corners once you lay the next layer on top. For an angle, you want butts on butts, right? This is from a side view, because when you're laying the next layer on top, they're even. They're almost even, right? So it's going to be a very flat surface. The same thing can be said for tops on tops, right? You're going to have a very even surface. But when you have a butt butting up against a top, there's going to be a big gap here, right? When you're laying logs on top, this is the gap that's going to open up. What I should have done, ladies and gentlemen, is I should have started my walls off in the opposite direction, parallel walls in the opposite direction, because you see this way, you've got butts on butts tops on tops, butts on butts, tops on tops. This is the correct way to stack the logs because then there is a flat surface for every level as you go up. Why did I build my walls like this, ladies and gentlemen? It's very clear, like if you do any basic research on log cabin building, that you have to start your walls in opposite directions. Almost all log cabin building videos, most log cabin building books out there are about saddle notching, but I'm using button pass. And the most popular button pass series on YouTube, as far as I can tell, they built it and I copied their methodology with the walls going in parallel, right? In the same direction. And this is where you have the gaps up. This is the wrong way. Their cabin actually turned out very nicely. And all the comments were popular. As far as I can tell, not a single person caught this error that they made. And the reason that their error did not show up in their build is because their logs they were using had almost no taper to them. So technically they were doing butt to top in that direction. But the butt of their log and the top of their log, there was almost no difference whatsoever. So you see, if you have no taper to your logs like they did, when you line your logs up, it almost doesn't matter if you're doing top to butt or butt to top, because your logs in button pass will line up very nicely and they'll be even on the top of every corner. So I'm just pointing this out because watching that video series, I copied them, but because my cabin is turned out with gaps in the walls because my logs actually have tapers to them. So I'm pointing this out so just in case anyone's searching button pass log cabin builds on YouTube, they might find my video and not make the same mistake that I did after watching this popular YouTube series. So the gaps in my first 5 levels are definitely aesthetically unpleasing, but the gaps don't really matter because I'm going to be chinking, right, with a synthetic chinking material. So functionally, it doesn't really matter, but aesthetically, it's very ugly. So the question is, do I tear down and rebuild the first 5 levels, or do I just build the top 7 in the proper method and keep going?
I don't know what to do. Should I rebuild it or should I just keep going? It's not that big of a problem. I don't know. I'll guess I'll ask my ancestors. Oh, ancestors from 10,000 BC, should I rebuild the cabin from scratch, the walls, and fix this error? Or should I just keep going and finish this off? That means less suffering. This is going to be the coldest week. I don't have time to rebuild these walls. What say you?
James, we are your ancestors from 10,000 BC. And we say, Ooga Booga.
Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard our ancestors. They couldn't be more eloquent nor clear in their speech. Ooga Booga. We're going to rebuild these walls. We'll get him flipped around and we'll get him tacked back up. My profuse apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologize for this mistake. It is all my fault. I take 100% of the responsibility, obviously. And hopefully this will be an example for other folks out there.
Okay, guys, we're stripped off the top 3 layers. We're down to the bottom 2. Let me show you what I mean here. So first of all, the good example, here is 2 tops. You see how that lines up very nicely? It's relatively even. Over here is where the problem is. You can see here, ladies and gentlemen,
there's that gap. So on the second level, I'm going to keep, this is correct. I'm going to keep the butt on the butt to top, butt to top. But here, this butt, I'm going to flip around and put it there so that it's top to top here. And then over there on this log, I'm going to flip that butt around so it's butt to butt here. And then that top will go against that top of that tree. Now, I'm not redoing the first layer because thankfully the taper on the first layer is almost non-existent except for this log here. And I happen to do a huge amount of scribing on this log to overcome this gap here. Okay, so you see over there, we flipped it. Now it's tip to tip. And that giant gap that was there before, if you see here height-wise, it's almost exactly the same.
One a.m. Got up to go to the bathroom. It was still pretty toasty in here, actually. Put 2 more logs in the fire and it's roaring again.
So over here, I was able to save, I lost all of these spikes because I had to cut most of them, but they're only $1.50 each, so it's not the end of the world. I was able to save all the washers though up here, so I can reuse all of the washers. Oh my God, that's how much snow fell last night. Damn. So by rebuilding the walls here, I've actually got an opportunity to, I think, improve them. Before I was spiking only 3 feet in on each section, you know, because I wanted to leave the maximum amount of space in the middle for putting doors and windows. But I now realize I should probably be spiking very close to where I'm going to put my actual door and window. So I'm planning on using 4-foot long windows on each side. And then on the end here on the door, the standard log cabin door, from what I can tell, is about 32 inches, which is roughly 3 feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm only going to leave 4 feet open at the end.
Berries and cherries.
Morning, folks. Minus 22. Coldest morning so far. Big smile on my face because I'm looking back at the cabin over there. And there's 4 levels up. Got to tack up the 5th level this morning. But to go from on Sunday down to only 1 level, deconstructing it, then to basically reconstruct 4 levels yesterday and get the final one on today. Oh my God. I can't tell you, the logs are fitting together so nicely. It was the right thing to do. And thank God I discovered this problem when I was at level 5 and not at level 10. Levels tapped back in. Fully operational desktop. Look how tight these corners are now, man. Look at this. Is the corner that had big problems last time. All those gaps closed right up, baby. Hell yeah. Level 5 back on. Next. And then we're ready to proceed onwards and upwards. Ah, much better. Much better. Let's tack it, baby.
Oh, it's still going.
It was roaring this morning. I think we may be able to boil the water, ladies and gentlemen. Nope, couldn't quite get there, ladies and gentlemen.
Maple syrup.
I run to Home Depot last night, got the last of their spikes in 10 inches. Thankfully, these will just be sufficient. Got more washers, but hopefully in the next few days they get more in. Otherwise, I'm going to have to drive even further to get more spikes. Ladies and gentlemen, there she is. Reconstructed, totally deconstructed, then reconstructed. The gaps have really shrunken up in the corners, and I can't tell you how good this feels. It was so hard at the beginning of this week, being like, this is going to be the coldest week, giant snowstorms, minus 20 plus at night. And what are we going to spend the majority of this week doing? Deconstructing the walls. Example, before, this was the worst corner. This corner over here, big gaps, especially between, right in the middle of the frame is the 4th level and the 5th, and between the 4th and the 3rd. Look how nicely that's closed up now. it's much closer because we've got the tops on tops and butts on butts. We got tight corners over here. We got tight corners over there. So this is okay because this was cut for a different wall assembly, right? But if you look, the key thing, and then the one below is also like that because there used to be a butt there, which was wider. But it's totally fine. We can plug those gaps up. The key thing is, look how tight the junctions are. Look how tight that is, man. That is a thing of beauty. There's always going to be natural variations in raw logs like there. There's an undulation in the log. Totally chinkable. Very small gap to be chinking. Remember, I think this log is from episode 6, and this log I tacked on backwards, and I had to cut it and remove it. But now this makes the start of my 6th level super easy because I already got this log pre-peeled. So I just got to trim it to size and tack it up. Quite the bend. Not quite the bend, but there is a bend. There's a crowning out here in this log. But also have to remember the 4 feet or 3 feet in the middle of this log, this is where the door is going. So it doesn't, that's where the most egregious part of the crown is. So that's going to be cut out anyways. So the corners are sitting very nicely and they're relatively straight. a tough one, but thankfully we got her on there. I actually managed to bend it. I tacked down this side first, and then I kind of bent it, twisted it back up as much as I could to pound it in over there. So it's actually, look, it's pretty damn good, all things considered, for how bendy. You saw how squirrely this was. This bolt went in a bit squirrely to the side, so I'm going to add one more bolt just right here to make sure it's double secure. Ladies and gentlemen, 6 levels. 6 levels. Here we go. We're at the halfway point. Halfway there. We got 4 feet of wall height, so we should end up at 8 feet or just below it. Very nice. All those big gaps in the corners have closed way up with this new rebuild. Closed way up compared to what it was before.
Firewood.
Look at that. Still rocking. Oops.
Here she is. Thor's oak. Thor's red oak.
Wait a minute, what a fortuitous morning. Not only did we happen across Thor's red oak from back in episode 2 that we saved from this falling tree, but it happens to be Thursday, which is literally named after Thor. Thor's Day. Many people don't realize the names of the week in English are actually named after the Germanic or the Scandinavian gods. Literally because the Anglo-Saxons, right? English is the modern dialect of the Anglish. That's the Angles and the Saxons, the two tribes that invaded England after the fall of the Roman Empire. And at that time, when they invaded England, they worshipped Thor, Odin, Freya, Frigg, all of those gods. So literally, Thursday is named after Thor, Thor's Day. All the names of the week in English, except for Saturday. Saturday is named after the Roman god Saturn. As far as I understand, the Germanic days of the week, there were 6 days, but when they became Christianized, they adopted the Gregorian Roman calendar. So for that 7th day, they didn't have a name for Saturday. They just adopted the Roman naming, which is Saturn. So the days of the week in English, named after 6 Germanic gods and 1 Roman god. Pretty damn cool. Starting with Monday, Monin, god of the moon. Monday, Monin's Day. Tuesday is Tyr's Day. Tyr is the god of war and justice. Wednesday is Woden's Day. The Anglo-Saxons, the earlier Germanic tribes called Odin Woden with a W. Thursday is Thor's Day. Friday is Frigg's Day, the queen of Asgard, the goddess of fertility and home and harvest. Saturday is Saturn's Day, the Roman god. And Sunday is Sunin's Day, the Germanic goddess of the sun. Holy Hades. Hauling logs, baby. Amazing workout. I'm probably in the best shape of my entire life. I'm definitely gonna need an extra cup of wolf milk this morning. You have it, ladies and gentlemen. Started on level 7. Got the log escalator going here. And switching to this new methodology, the corners are so much tighter. I'll show you clips of what they look like before. We could have shaved it down, but we don't want to get into any shaving at this point because we're going to be chinking them up, ladies and gentlemen. Look how tight that corner is. Oh my goodness. Let's see how this, oh my Lord. Looks fantastic. Looks fantastic. Really coming together. Very, very nice. 7 levels on this side, 6 everywhere else. In the hardest week so far on Wild Homestead, I must say, I can't tell you how good I feel about reconstructing this the proper way. I hope that anybody out there, you know, who's doing a button pass, and again, like this very popular, the most popular YouTube series on button pass out there, they actually stack their logs in correctly. So hopefully folks can see this series. You got to be tops to tops and butts to butts in every corner. You can't stack it like they did in that one YouTube video. I still love that creator though. No qualms. It's 100% me. And I'm glad I found the error now and not at freaking level 10. So onwards and upwards. Let's see how hard it's going to be. We're more than halfway done, guys. And we're going to start flying, I think. We're going to start flying. Thank you so much for watching. I'll always show all my errors. I'll always try to be as truthful as humanly possible with you folks. See you next week on Wild Homestead.